Hello there, fellow summoners. Mad Dog HT here, and we are back in Act 7. This is 7.2.4, and we're going up the fifth path that I took. And this one has Mixmaster, Light 'em Up, Counterstrike, and Incinerate and Shock Vulnerability. When I recorded this, I had a couple of these paths where I was recording my voice as as I was doing the pass, but for whatever reason this one got turned off. So here I am doing the voiceover of my strategy and what I was thinking when I was going through this path. So I don't have but two champs that can really counter Mixmaster, but you really don't need it for all of the fights, depending on who you bring. So first up, Torch versus a Mystic, plus light 'em up. So that light 'em up node is going to allow you to bypass the evades if you have them up. So, and the fact that it's got Incinerate vulnerability just makes it even better. So we're just going to do short, medium, light, medium combos, stacking as many incinerates as possible. And this is only with my 5-star torch, which is a rank 4. I do have a 6-star rank 3 torch, but that one was being occupied in Alliance War. So yeah, well, this just shows like you don't always need like a rank 5, rank 2, rank 3 champ. Depending on the matchup, can really make a difference. So we're alternating just medium, light, mediums. This does have Counterstrike, so if you do 10 dexes, you will make the defender fully unblockable. So if you can ideally parry and block some of the specials, that's ideal. Or if you can push them to a special where you don't need to dex, like the special 2s on Claire, that's even better. And you see Torch just nuke that Claire, no problem. So next up we have Dr. Doom going up against Heimdall. So we need to get some knockdowns. I'm checking out the path to see who else is on here, just to refresh my memory of who I was going to use for which pass or which fights. And yes, we're going to use Doom. I'm bringing in my 5-star Doom, and we're going to try to alternate our combos so that we can ignore Mixmaster. You can't get into a full Doom cycle unless you have him incinerated or shocked, and the shocks that Doom puts on really isn't long enough to deal with that, nor can you get incinerates to last long enough. So right here I messed up. I'm like, I accidentally pushed him over 2 bars and he has an armor up, so I'm just like holding block, trying to get that that armor up to fall off, but he ends up throwing his heavy to convert it permanently, and then he throws his L2, which is fully unblockable, can't evade it, nothing like that. So I did eat some significant damage there. It wasn't a huge deal because we're gonna light him up for the rest of the fight. But yeah, keep in mind, if you push him over to L2, you better make sure that you've nullified, removed his armor ups with whatever champ you're using, because there's really no way around that L2 when it's fully unblockable and it's got True Strike. So Doom does his job. We're gonna go up to Yondu, and let's see, I don't remember who I used for this. It's probably Hyperion. And I think I just spam special ones. No, I actually used Torch. And yeah, I think so Torch here is fine. You just need to worry about Yondu's Yaka arrow. So if he's dashing in at you and he's throwing, I think it's a light attack, that's going to be the arrow. It can bypass the parry stun, and it can hit you and penetrate into your block and put on a bleed. So you need to be aware of that. Make sure you dash back, get some space. And here we're just doing some heavy spam in the corner, which you can do even though Mixmaster is on, simply because we have incinerates applied with the light 'em up. That's going to bypass the evades. And we're going to try to build up some temperature. I'm not too concerned with the temperature, but where possible, it's good to charge those heavies and make sure that those incinerates last as long as possible. And yeah, spam in heavies. And then we're going to hit him with an L2. And yeah, we're just off to the races. Now, I do believe I get tagged on a combo here. And, or just not on combo, but through the block. I think, yeah, right there. And so the bleed it's pretty potent. This is going to take a ton of my health. So again, just be aware of that. If you're not using a bleed immune champ, better make sure that you don't get hit with that, because it can do a ton of damage. And we're just about done with this Yondu and my 5-star rank 4 torch. 2 fights, pretty easy, very simple. And yeah, definitely recommend him if you have him to bring him for this path. He works really, really well. And then we're going to move down to the bottom section of the map that basically has 3 more fights: Iron Man Infinity War, SpiderGwen, and Cyclops. Yeah. Or is it? No, it's the Elsa. So for the Elsa, I'm going to bring in Professor X. Now, Professor X doesn't have shocks or incinerates, but he can get up that vigilance buff. I think it's a passive. Once he gets to 25 charges, yeah, there it is. It's a passive where you can just bypass the evade. So he's a mutant, and Mixmaster thrown out the window, light him up, doesn't come into play. The only thing that you really need to worry about is the Counterstrike. Now, Elsa has a couple projectiles on her L1, but they're not unblockable. So you can see right there, I'm blocking some of them because I don't want her to be fully unblockable. Counterstrike, you get those Furies, which do help with the damage, but it's not that significant. And I just would rather be able to dex and, move around freely without having to, worry that I can't parry. So I do believe we finish her off without her going unblockable, I think. Or maybe I do trigger it 10 times and she does end up going unblockable for a short period of time, and I'm just going to dance it out and wait. I'm still going to have my it's not true strike, the vigilance up. Don't have to worry about the evades. The only thing that you also have to worry about is if you have like a long stun or some type of non-damaging debuff that's on there, she can purify it. So I think at the beginning of the fight, she purified a stun. So you just gotta be aware of that, careful of that. But otherwise, pretty much good to go. And yeah, I think she's gonna get finished off here with a special 2 of mine. No, I think I tried to get to special 2, missed it. We got 7 prowess, and I think the next special one, boom, and she's dead. Yeah, so we never triggered the Counterstrike unblockable. And yeah, Professor X, he's a beast. I if I awaken him, he's going to rank 3. I have a mutant T5CC that I'm holding on for my next awakened mutant. And it's either going to be him, Apocalypse, Omega, Archangel, but all those guys I don't have except Professor X. So, you know, sometimes you just gotta rank who you got. But I'm holding off because right now at rank 2 he's fine, and I'm not using him anywhere else. So on this Iron Man Infinity War, we're just gonna go in and try to spam as many special ones as possible. Keep an eye out for those armor ups that he has, and try to not trigger his auto block, and try to not trigger Mixmaster with having the incinerates up. And you can see I had incinerates going, but they fell off, and because I did 2 heavies in a row, Mixmaster got me. Now we're going to go and throw a special 3 to get some radiation charges, make us hit a little bit harder. And I think I actually might trigger the heal. Yes, I do. And as far as his special 1 goes, I believe, you know, I already have 5 or 6 of those counterstrikes. I'm going to start blocking, I believe, these projectiles on Iron Man Infinity War's L1, just because, or maybe I end up dexing them and we wait it out. I tried to heavy counter his heavy and didn't have the spacing right. Yeah, there it is. So now we have to fully dex, and I believe I'm just going to wait this out. And while you're waiting it out, you know, you're possibly triggering more dexing, so more counter strikes that are getting built up. It can get annoying. I remember when they used to have that in AQ for map 7, and it was annoying when you had that global. So glad it's not around anymore. And so we're just going to try to burn this guy. They're repairing those projectiles, minimize the damage, not trigger the counter strike, and then hopefully we can get this guy down without too much trouble when he starts getting into his last 15%, which is coming up right here. So he's going to be throwing a bunch of specials, and we're going to block those. No, we're going to dex those ones, block those, and then we just have 1 left. Special 2, boom. Get him knocked out for the win. Hyperion, solid option for this lane because he's got the access to incinerates. And then last up we have SpiderGwen. SpiderGwen is super annoying if you don't have a way to get around her evade. You know, when you get that combo up, it just seems like the chance to evade is significantly high. So a really solid counter to this fight is Moleman. I'm loving Moleman. He's got a lot of good utility. Been getting some good use out of him. So he starts with that True Strike passive. So SpiderGwen can't consume it like, you know, Corvus or Heimdall. They get those True Strikes, but it's an active buff, and she can just eat that up like immediately. So not really a good option, but his is passive. He has access to an L1 as a shock on his L1. So even if I got out of, you know, where I have monster mass of 10 or more, or I go into a frenzy, I'm going to lose that True Strike passive, and the because he has that shock on his L1, he's a solid option to deal with this fight. So like right here, so now we're at 12 monster mass. Our True Strike passive is gone, but she's not going to be able to evade because of the light 'em up node. We have that shock up, and even before we can get too much farther into the fight where I trigger frenzy or whatever, SpiderGwen goes down. So 64 hits, pretty fast. Pretty easy fight there. And then we're just going to move up to the boss island. And for this one, I'm trying to remember who I used, who I even fought. But we're getting a whole bunch of the small refills from my stash. We're going to use those to get to the island. I opened up a bunch of the 4-hour crystals, and we just have a bunch of those, so we're just trying to get rid of those instead of using the big energy refills. And I wish there was a way to apply a whole bunch in mass a little bit easier, but you know, what can you do? So I believe, who are we going? We're either going to Man Thing or to Nova. I think it's Man Thing. No, it looks like this one is Nova. We're swapping out the rank 4 torch. And we're going to use Claire. So we got a full health Claire. Now Claire can do this fight. I do mess up towards the end. His power gets a little bit out of control. You know, it is aggressive. He's got that burnout, time to strike node, supercharge, where you can get him if you dex. He gets a bunch of charges, and then you can degen him when he's power locked. And yeah, so if you keep him throwing special ones, you're pretty much good to go. I'm still not so super familiar with dexing his special 2 because I mainly try to stick to his L1 because I don't want to flirt around 2+ bars of power on this guy, because if he goes passive, he can just keep dexing at you and not throwing, gaining power, and then you get L3'd, and that's just no bueno. So yeah, so I switched to poison mode so I can drain and suck back a lot of his power. You know, don't get a ton back, but it does help control. Now, going back, I probably maybe should have just gone to incinerate mode, and then if I had an issue with, you know, chip damage or anything, then I could switch to bleed mode. But we're gonna stay in poison for like most of this fight, and I think towards the end we try to get a heal, and then his power gain does get out of control. Yeah, so like right here, I do get tagged. We get some power control, so he's taking those degens when he's power locked from that node. But you can see, like, that's the one thing with Claire, her poison mode, it doesn't do a lot of damage. So, and this dude has a ton of health, so I probably should have switched to incinerate mode. But we go to bleed, we get healed back up, and you know, we're locking down all of his buffs and whatnot because we have that buff immunity on. But I think there's a point where he gets quite passive and he doesn't start throwing his specials. So we switch back to poison, and then I immediately miss the dex on the L1. And I think we end up doing somewhere around 200 something hits, which, you know, sounds like a lot, but for Claire, when you're spamming special 2s, there's 10 hits in the special 2, and it works out to where she gets a lot of hits. And when you're stealing a bunch of the power back, you know, you just have the ability to keep just throwing those. So he's getting degened. You know, the fight's going okay. We switched to Hellfire mode, and the damage is significantly better because you're getting like 2,400 per hit energy damage on those L2s, which is 10 hits, and that's like 24k minimum damage plus all the regular damage. So here we dex out a part of the L2, and then this is where it starts to get a little out of hand because he's not throwing his specials and he's just gaining power. He's got that supercharge. So I switch over to poison and I'm trying to drain him. We don't drain him enough to get him to L1. So we just keep going, hit him with a medium at the end, try to drain him some more. And the power drain, it's good. It helps control, but it doesn't leave you too much less, if any, where you started from. And I can't get this guy below 2 bars, but he's not throwing his special. And I think right here, and I dex out of that one pretty well. I did the first and the second, but then I just get tagged. So I fail towards the very end. So we're just gonna go and do cleanup with Doom. There's just a little bit left, 90 something K, just under 100K health. And I soloed this guy earlier with Doom. Pretty easy fight, pretty standard Doom fight. There's really nothing going on here that makes this Nova super annoying when you have Doom, just because you can apply those staggers at will. You can get into a Doom cycle. You always have quick and easy access to nullify buffs from the special one, and you can steal a bunch of his power really easy, and a lot of it. So you can just control the fight a lot easier. So we're just about to finish up, and we get to our special one, hit him when he's got 3 bars, nullify all that stuff, throw an unblockable special 2, and we get the kill, get the assist. So that's all we got for this lane. Hopefully that helped. Nothing too crazy difficult with the lane or the Nova boss. But yeah, hope this helped. Thanks for stopping by and watching, fellas, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.